and welcome to Nathan but the Truth. You guys, this is going to be a two-parter. I don't know where it'll break or whatever. That all depend on my podcast manager. He'll break it up and everything, say part one, part two, that kind of thing, so that you could be able to see them simultaneously because it'll be dropped at the same time, I'm sure. Or maybe one day after another. But this is so, wow, this is deep. I'm going to get very deep with you. I'm going to touch on things. I'm going to go way out here, come back to here, okay, and carry you through one of those type of things. So follow me if you can. Um, this is travel warnings, okay? The first thing I'm going to tell you is that with the turmoil that's going on all over the world, all this political pressure and stuff like that, it should come with travel warnings, okay? With America, my home country, okay, since its beginning has been interfering in other countries' affairs, okay? Um, we have immigrants coming from countries that the United States have interfered in their affairs so much that they cause economic collapse in those particular countries. Well, that affects the poor and impoverished, okay, the working class. And they migrate as a result of that. Okay. Now, the wealthy and the elite in those countries still do business with powerful Western nations that team together to cripple those countries' economy. And they do it so that they could be able to get their resources much cheaper. And so, yeah, like, you have Venezuela, which is the largest oil producing country in the Americas. Okay. That's the United States as well. I mean, they got some oil. Okay. So they collapsed their economy. And in doing so, the leaders of that country are so greedy and everything, they're still doing business. They still selling oil. Okay. United States then went put these embargoes on them and took their bank account and all that, and they still doing business with them because they can do it now cheaper, much cheaper. But the people get nothing. Okay. And so they're running for their lives, looking for jobs and stuff. And this is happening all over the world with yellow, brown, black countries. They're meeting the demise of the West because the West is starving for cash, for everything. They're greedy. Okay. And so what happens to the small man? He's looking for work. Well, what do the United States do? Say we're the greatest, most powerful nation. We're rich. And that's what European countries do. Oh, we're rich. We got this. We got that. And so those people run to those areas looking for work. Okay. Looking for food, looking for survival. Okay. For their families. And they call them immigrants, migrants. They're looking for work. And those big corporations hire cheap labor. So they'll let them come and they'll work them for dirt cheap. Middle class is affected by that. And by middle class, I mean white. I'm not talking middle class, brown and black and all that in those countries. Middle class white. And they're striking out. And rather than strike out to the wealthy elites that hire these people, they say, hey, they're coming in taking our jobs. They're doing this, they're doing that, and they're getting all this subsidy and this and that and whatever. And so they lie and say they're bringing crime and this and that. And well, what happens is you have a resentment. Now sweeping Western nations is the no migrant immigrants, and that's code word for black and brown people. Okay. And they're attacking them, killing them. They're having riots in these countries. And so that comes with a travel warning, you guys. See, back after OPEC in 1972 crippled America and showed them how much muscle they had by withholding oil and brought America and all other Western nations to their knees, the United States decided, as well as Europe, decided, oh, we're going to get them some bitches back for that. And they've been doing it ever since. They've been going into those countries and causing chaos, turmoil. Okay. And they did that all the way up through the 70s, and it got real hot in the 80s to the point where they're traveling. Okay. Man, you gonna could get in trouble. Okay. And they were planting bombs in tourist areas in Europe, in America, not so much as America, but they were really hitting Europe pretty hard. Okay. And they would catch journalists, Western journalists, and behead them, chop their head off, put it on video. Okay. You probably can see those videos. It all went to the internet. So you can see that shit. Okay. And that's where they came with the anti-Arab sentiment. Call them crazy terrorists, this and that. It's not so much that they were terrorists. They were saying, get the hell out of our country and stop messing with us. And in doing so, the backlash, okay, the West controls all media. So it made them look like they're the ones, they're the terrorists, they're the bad guys, when in fact, it's that Western policy. Now, I want you to, without prejudice, try and understand where I'm coming from. Somebody come into your country and they essentially buy your leaders and your corporations. They run all your resources, taking them, and you ain't getting nothing. Okay. And they saying you scattering. Well, those Arabs fought it a different way. They fought it hard. Okay. And so during the late 80s and 90s, throughout the 90s, there was travel warnings placed. Okay. If you're American, you don't want to go here. You know, you be careful how you move because going to heavy tourist areas where you're going to find a lot of Westerners in these brown countries and black countries and stuff, and they conglomerate into this one bar area and it blow up. It happened in Malaysia, it happened in Indonesia, happened in the Philippines here where I live. Okay, they target those areas. Okay, well, you have to. This is happening again, but only it's more subtle. Okay, and they picking people off one after another, and it's really bad to be a Westerner and you're traveling abroad. Now me, you look at me, I'm shoe black, okay, but I'm still a target because I have an American passport, and I guarantee you that little anorexic white woman with the microphone, she's sitting up there on the news, and somebody whacked me. She is not going to say a black American was just unalived in the ghettos over here in this country here or whatever. They're not going to say that. I'm going to say an American because what um, the narrative, okay, the point that these guys want to make is we got an America. Okay, so they don't care what type of American you are or you claim to be, you know, or as these young folks say, how you identify. You're American. So when you hit the news, it's going to say an American. It's not going to say anything else. Nothing about, you know, who your grandpa was or your grandma or anything like that or, you know, nothing. Just that you're an American. Because when a plane goes down, what do they say? Oh, there were so many Americans on there. They do not tell you that those Americans, okay, let's say the plane went down in India. They do not tell you every one of them Americans on that plane was Indian. They held dual citizenship. So seven Americans perished. They ain't gonna show you the picture because you're gonna say, well, those are Indian from India. They still had an American passport. That's all that matters. So take that in consideration in your travels. Okay, that's a big travel warning, and I'll come back to that and how you can move differently and why you should move differently. Um, One of the things that really brought this to my attention and made me want to scream and shout, pull my hair out, on social media. I belong to various groups, passport bros, and I like that. I joined by invitation because I'm, been living abroad for so long, more than a decade. And when I joined, I saw myself giving a lot of travel advice, like currency exchanges and stuff like that, telling people how they can live, whether they want to live, take advantage of the fact that, they're multimillionaires. Okay. Some of them, they got nice, good pensions. Now I tell them you're a multimillionaire. Now, how do you want to live? Some of them wanted to live in the elite status, and I tell them how they can do that, without, hurting their budget, but they could live like kings. Some of them just wanted to live just a mediocre life. Tell them, live amongst the locals. Here's how you do. Here's how you manage your money. Here's how you receive your money and stuff. Because, one of the things is banking. And it's very tricky when you're traveling abroad. So I'm in that group for that purpose. Okay. And, the group Passport Bros evolved into Passport Bros. We've been Passport Broing it for ever since America been America, and we've been fighting wars. Guys been going overseas and coming back with stories to tell. Many of them even going back to those countries to live. So yeah, Passport Bro movement has always been. It's just that what has now developed is the what I like to call the social wars between male between female and stuff, that kind of thing. Guys are uh, wanting more traditional lives. They're wanting marriage, and this and that. Then a large amount of African American men. And so they're traveling and they're getting these groups together to find out where to travel, where to go, what to do, where to meet women, this and that, that kind of thing. And some of them wanting to be international males now, that's the term we used when I was coming up, back in the 70s. I mean, they even had a magazine dedicated to an international mail, guys traveling abroad. And then there was the Playboy International. Okay. They used to have a big Playboy International in every country. And I mean, really, it used to be big. And that's where the international mail idea came from. And so that's pretty much what Passport Bros have become. Though international mail was the Playboy lifestyle, the jet setting lifestyle, though Passport Bros is you like to equate it to wife seekers or economic seeking. And I noticed, they have the certain countries guys like to go to because boy, the women are beautiful. They stretch them out to make it all look good and this and that. And that's dangerous. That is so dangerous. My philosophy or my question is if you want pay for play, you can get that in the U.S. and be a lot safer than in these countries where there's desperation. I'm not in the Philippines to exploit the people. Okay. Farthest thing from my mind, go out here and get some little 20, 21-year old. I mean, my God. When I was 20, 21, I didn't want to be sitting up there laid up with some 60 some year old or 70 some year old woman. I mean, come on, that's a grandma. There's no sexual attraction there. And so, that poor girl, she has to probably get up in the middle of the night and toss her cookies, her lunch, after being with somebody. These guys are just They look like me, old, ugly, fat men. I mean, seriously? You gonna put that 18, 19, 20-year old through that shit? No, that's exploitation. And these guys are going to these countries. I'm going to use the best example, which is Colombia, Medellin. Okay. Those countries, okay, are run by cartels. Okay. Because they can't do business with the West on, you know, how would I say it, with the Fortune 500s because they're forbidden to do business with them due to the various restrictions the Western countries put on these countries. So they're doing their business, which is illicit business, drug trade, human trafficking, stuff like that. And these guys are going and they're traveling and they're getting taken out. They get about 3, 4 a month. Okay. Body bags. They send them back to the US. Okay. And you say, well, how come nobody knows about this? Well, I am belonging, like on the Facebook groups, there's 4 of them dedicated to passport pros. They will not allow you to post warnings, travel warnings on their site. You guys, I kid you not. I thought that was the strangest thing. I had posted warnings telling guys, hey, listen, be careful because the political climate is changing. Because I start seeing more and more anti-immigrant sentiment throughout the West, and they were attacking anybody who had brown in their skin. And just here in Britain alone, they spent a whole week trying to tell those extremists that was out there rioting and attacking black and brown people that the guy who did the stabbing with the school kid, um, he was a British national. That didn't matter to them. He was brown. Okay. His ancestry was from some other country, probably some country in Africa or something. But whatever it was, them white guys are still killing over there. They still trying to quell that. They're having big gatherings, anti-hate rallies and stuff because Great Britain is the last European country to fall to the white extremists. Okay. They already took Italy. They took Greece long time ago. I mean, they showed the Coast Guard, Italian Coast Guard and the Greece Coast Guard, when they see them boats with the migrants in them, they go and capsize the boat and then they won't pull the people out of the water. They video it and laughing and mocking them and watching them drown. They got women with babies in their arms. And this is going on today. See, Western media is not going to show you this. This is stuff that they're slipping through on the internet because these guys are videoing their murders of these immigrants coming to their country for I don't know why they'd even go there. Why would you go to a white country that destroyed your country and you're going to go to them now and try to work and do it? I don't know what to luring them in to these European countries. France, they go into the black community in France and just open up fire. Live rounds. Okay. This is all these countries are falling, and they use the term uh, the alt right, or they say extreme right. All these terms. What they're saying is they're Nazis. Okay, in code word. And if you can't pick up on that, I'll tell you because you need to be warned. Um, these passport pro groups, um, they get a lot of attention. Okay. They got a lot of membership because a lot of guys, what they see is the postings they do allow, which is some scantily clad, young, beautiful woman or women with one guy. And this guy is an old regular old Joe from the US, but he's got a nice job, makes good money. He works remotely. So he goes to that country. And when he get there, When his feet hit the ground, he's a multi-millionaire. And these women that swarming him, the women come from the barrios, very poor. Okay. But he don't bother to think that this woman has got her hair done. She's got expensive makeup on, and she's scantily clad with some very expensive clothing. You don't put two and two together, okay? Because if you went to her village where she lived, okay, the amount of money that she's wearing on her face could feed 5 families for a week, okay? You guys, that stuff paid for by somebody, all right? Um, these guys are going, and I seen one posting where a guy, well, where to stay when I get to Medellin, or where to stay when I get to Sao Paulo, or wherever. And guys up there telling me, oh man, I went and stayed at this Airbnb and this and blah blah. And I'm like, oh no.